So, senior year has been full of ups and downs, but more so, it's just been crazy. We all know that. So, although we're fairly certain you won't find this nearly as amusing as us, we're just gonna enlighten you on some of the nonsense that we've been through this year.
So, my first role ever was this role where I had to stand on my head upside down. The freshmen on stage had two jobs. One, hold me up, and two, remember your lines. Both these jobs fell through when I was dropped off stage twice, and then a few nights later I was held upside down 11 minutes as things were slowly and unsurely said, except when they weren't even said at all. Moral of the story, don't trust freshmen.
At homecoming this year, we went to the mall after dinner and before the dance. I had the idea to go to Spencer's, a super edgy store, and take some pictures. We wandered into the store and made it to the back, and we happened to stumble upon some adult toys. We were promptly kicked out of the back and went to take pictures, but our spot had a trash can in it. So we stood around the trash can and incorporated it into our pictures. The moral of the story is that there's beauty all around you.
The second production for theater this year was The Merry Wives of Windsor, which Jackson and David and I had the privilege of being cast in. Now, during this production, the women realized there was a hole in the dressing room ceiling through which they could communicate to the men. So naturally, we threw over a tampon, to which we heard Jackson exclaim, "It's raining tampons." They threw it back over and we had a grand old time until our student director raced in to inform us that the second act had begun and no one was on stage. But it was okay because we all bonded over the fact that tampons are in fact funny. We'd also like to shout out Miss Lewis for being the only one to get and laugh at the jokes. We hear you and we love you.
So this next story is a very short one, but very important. About 30 minutes into a 45-minute delay one show night, I, Jackson Wilkes of sound mind and body, put a tampon in my butt. I just wanted to see if it would stay. And it did. Where do I even start with this one? So there we were, a single rep class at school on a school night at about 7 p.m. Mr. Pence had recently ordered a pizza for the class, 13 pizzas to be exact. Not to mention there's only 17 in the class. Anyway, we were 30 minutes in when suddenly the entire class loses focus and breaks down. I don't remember how it happened or really what went down. I only remember two things. Me putting a hanger on my body, well, in my shirt on my body, and hanging myself from the ladder, and Mr. Pence being just as delusional as us. We never fully recovered from that night, but we still made it to ITF.
So, we took that one act that we just mentioned to State Thespian Conference. However, 11 hours before we had to go on, one actor got sick. I was sitting there enjoying my breakfast when Pence came up, sat down right next to me, handed me a script, and told me that I was filling in for every single role that the actor had. So, in 11 hours and one actual rehearsal, we performed the show without a hitch. And thanks to everyone's hard work, we're going to internationals! So we learned you can really pull anything out of your ass.
So the second night of Dr. Dolittle, I had aced my quick change with tons of extra time. About 75% of the way through, however, my character looks off stage. And when I looked, I saw my props master and stage manager furiously motioning to my fly. I didn't even have to check to realize that my zipper had been down for the entirety of the scene. So the last part of the scene, I had to go on and pretend that I did not notice my shirt partly sticking out of my fly. Always check your fly, kids. So one of my favorite parts of my tux was the shiny shoes that came with it. I mean, I rocked those things. But let me tell you though, they were not good for physical activities. I had arrived at Jaeger's laser tag, our after-prom activity, after a very long and stressful journey filled with wrong turns, yelling, and maybe some tears. And I was just excited to start playing. However, about 10 minutes in to a very intense laser game, I tried to stop and absolutely ate shit. Then, 30 minutes later, I fell again. This time, into a wall. The next day, I was very sore. Lesson learned, wear the proper shoes while going hard at laser tag.
Big Brother, the game we all either loved or hated. This story of deception starts with a pact between me, Jax, and David, promising to reveal our potential thought police status. Later that night when I learned that I was one, I told Allie and then lied to Jax and David. No one suspected a thing, thanks to the boys. However, once the list came out, you could say Jax was a little bit upset. Moral of the story, lying to your friends is worth it. Lying to your girlfriend is not.
After finding about the snake in the grass, Ryan, we were unhappily sent into another version of the Big Brother game, this time in the 1984 production. The game, however, was more strict. But after a few days, when we realized that nobody was a thought police, we abandoned the idea altogether. The lesson is, just when you think it's over, it isn't. Except when it is.
So the most important thing we learned is that despite all of the nonsense and chaos, everything is going to be okay. Next fall, Jackson will be going to K-State University, David to JCCC, and Ryan and I will be attending MNU. And that's the Bible in 30 minutes or less.
Alright, just one final warning if you didn't get it from me. If you have any trouble breathing, if you have any trouble or issues or allergic,
Wait. Go to the very back and then just walk out of the fog.
Alright, audience, please. Settle down. Boys, please wash your hands for the next activity.
Take a hit, bro. I want you hit it then.
Okay, you ready to see this big real quick?
Still school.
The fire department's showing up right now and I don't know what's happening. Oh my god.
It looks like it's about to storm. This is the best.
On this momentous day, May 14th at 7:53 p.m., the Rep Theater class set off the fire alarm with their vapes.
We also set
Thank
the school
you.
on fire. Don't forget that part.
Thank you.
We're pyrotechnics. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us in Devised Theater.